Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. Well, you found your way to the Sacred Wisdom Circle, linked by the golden thread. We are lighthouses, beacons of truth, guiding the way. Through deep conversations and shared wisdom, we illuminate the path and heal through truth. So, welcome. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, everyone, and it's so good to be back. Yay.
It's good to have you back, Angela. So we're all here. Yay, full circle.
Yes.
So beautiful.
Oh, yeah, no, it's great. And I've missed you guys. I've missed the ladies in the room, and I've missed you guys who are watching. So yeah, just very happy to be back.
I would love to hear just how everybody's been
Sure.
doing since we're all here and catch up a little bit. So, go ahead.
Who wants to go first?
Hmm.
Angela, we haven't seen you in a
Okay, well,
while.
I'll catch you guys up. It was on the 16th of September. It was a Tuesday. I was walking from the kitchen into my lounge and tripped over that beading between the carpet and the floor tiles. And I had my MacBook resting on my one hand and a bowl of food in the other. And of course, the food flew everywhere. And I slammed my MacBook into the couch. And the frame of the couch was wooden, so it shattered my screen.
Oh, no.
But what I subsequently, oh no, it was unbelievable. And then we went through the whole rigmarole of getting it fixed. And it just shows you, I mean, it took it through to the Apple store, and they then sent me a quote. And then I was referred by a friend to an Apple dealer, or not a dealer, but a certified repair business, certified by Apple. They came in at £1,000 lower than what the Apple store had come in at. And then they found a refurbished screen and put it on here. And it's got two tiny little dots, white dots on it when I've got a white piece of paper on the screen. I mean, a white background on the screen. And so I have chosen to see those two little white dots as orbs. So I have orbs on my MacBook. And they came in at a third of the price of what the original Apple Store repair was going to be. So
Oh,
I am
fabulous.
grateful, very, very, very grateful. And so, yeah, powered back up again in order to be able to do what we are all engaging in and doing. And so, what it also came out of that was in processing through it, it actually ended up being a lightning bolt that had come, like the Native American Indian teachings talk about the fire sticks and the thunder beings. And it was actually a bolt of lightning that it metaphysically, energetically had jolted right through my body, because after I'd gone to the iStore and I'd handed in the MacBook, which was later on that same day, I actually felt like I was in the shock of having been in an accident.
Mm.
So I worked through it and processed through it. And what's been really interesting to see what's happened, and particularly in relation to yogi or the business yogi, is that it was the bolt of the kind of masculine energy and the cosmic energy drawing right through my body into the earth star and then moving into the lattice. So it took me like 2 weeks to stabilize after that energy, and that bolt, we're calling it the bolt, had kind of. And so it's been a lot of self-care and a lot of slowing down, because I also haven't had the MacBook to work on it. But a lot of slowing down, a lot of self-care, a lot of self-nurturing, and also almost feels as though my energy has shifted an entire, almost like a spiral within the frequencies that we work with. So I don't know, more is going to be revealed, but yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell. Lots and lots of downloads again, um, and a lot more of the grounding of the business yogi into the world of matter. So that's really what's been going on. It's been quite interesting. Lots of shifts, even around abundance, around prosperity, around how we take the work that we do out into the world very differently to the way that the 3D world works with the way that information goes out into the world. A lot around presence and not performance. So there's been a lot. So that's, yeah, in a nutshell, what's my last 3 weeks have been about. So yeah, just again, very grateful to be back.
Yay! Oh,
Wow.
unfolding.
That is a lot of energy.
It sure has been. And yeah, in the beginning, quite difficult to process. I went on, and I call it my FU walks. When the energies are that intense, that I actually need to ground it. I go on an FU walk. Every step is like if I mean, I'm not being impolite, but if there's just to shift the energy. And then I walked around the corner, so I've done the half the walk and half the way back, and I'm going, I'm very grateful for the faith. I'm grateful for willingness. I'm grateful for all of those things. But could you actually help me with a bit of patience? And then, then I did, and then I did some writing on patience, and what came up from sources that patience is not a feeling. Patience is actually an action. It's just taking the next action and doing the next step. So that was quite interesting to see that kind of reframe of what patience actually means for me anyway. So yeah, that's kind of, yeah, those are my 3 weeks. So love to hear
Incredible.
from you guys and hear what I've missed from each one of you. I see, Alana, you've got lots of stuff going on. I've seen Janice pop up into my Instagram feed every now and then. So I'd love to hear what's going on in your spaces.
Well, Alana, you go next because you missed last week too. So we
All
want to
good.
hear from you.
Well, thank you. But the reason why I missed last week is for me, I was hosting a retreat. So Thursday we did prep work for the retreat and it kicked off on Friday. So it was local in the Maritimes here in Canada. We were in New Brunswick, in St. John area. We had this beautiful Airbnb that we rented. We had a cook come in and do our meals. We did bread, like we did sourdough bread. We like that was part of the process was about helping people under like go through that process, but it was like very relatable to the journey that we all go through of the starting and nurturing and then the unfolding and allowing. So we really related that back to the journey as we went through. We went through my Sacred Shift program. We took people through that process, which includes my co-creator Jeanette, she does the breath work for that, but she has just some powerful breath work. And as we know, like physically moving that breath through the body is moving that stagnant energy. So between conscious awareness and the breath and the unfolding of the bread, it was so cool. Such a beautiful experience. We had 5, 6 people there, plus we had a photographer there that caught some of the beautiful stories she wanted to come. We were just going to invite her for the afternoon, but and she's like, no, I want to come for the whole thing so that she could experience the story. And she is so talented. I mean, the cook and the photographer are both amazing. But she captured the whole story from the whole weekend. So got some really great stuff from it. But it has just been so fun of that whole experience. And I was just sharing, just when we got on, I was like, we all left with sourdough. So now we're all in the process of learning how to integrate the sourdough process in our own lives, right? So it's been a lot of fun. Hosted a
Well
video of
done.
that
That's
this afternoon.
amazing. Amazing. Well done. Congratulations.
And I
Thank
love
you.
that you brought that into the retreat. That's something new and different, like, you
Hmm.
know, making the bread. I love it.
Well, it's a sacred process, right? Where it's like, we go through the like we talked about the nurturing, then be able to see the unfolding. And we, like I said, we related it very much back to our journeys. And it does take time and we need to have patience, like you said, Angela, because you can't just do it all in one day. It's a 3-day process, really. So we're so excited about that opportunity for people to bring that back. And it's something that you learn that's a skill that you can then take and implement. Again, we all are taking sourdough home, so we can then, or the starter home, so we could then continue that journey in the unfolding of ourselves and learning the patience and learning how to play with it. That was the other thing too, is like, there's regimented rules for process, but there's also finding our own timings and the way it flows within our life and all of these different things and not being so regimented. Like, I don't know, that's how I do my sourdough. It was very much, I've been a baker all my life and it's more like, I just feel into it as opposed to being like, oh, it needs to be at this time and this time. And like I said, I did a video of how my bread unfolded. I made this beautiful croissant loaf this morning. It was so good, and I've already eaten like half of it. So anyway, enough about me. That's what I did
But
last.
I love that because like at a retreat, like it's about, filling your bucket up again and coming back to your inner self, your higher wisdom. But there's something very nurturing and nourishing about baking bread, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just so like it's like the medicine woman within you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And reaching in and offering that to your loved ones. It's just it's such a feel good.
And like you said, because you mentioned earlier that your son had done the nurturing, like, and then you end up with sourdough loaves that do take time to create. So then, like you said, you get to share that with others. And anyway, it was just a really fun process.
Yes.
The
And there's
feeling,
more to come. We talked about there's more, we're going to be doing more retreats like that one. So keep your eyes out if you're interested.
Right.
the feeling I get is the joy.
Mm-hmm.
That's just in you talking about it. There's a real joy that comes up. And I think it's because it's tapping into all aspects, right? That playfulness. And I know that I buy sourdough bread from a lady here, and her whole focus is everything's about love, right? So it's that element of really putting that energy in. Yes, it's all about the process and patience and all of that, but I think it's the joy and the love and connection to self in the moment that you're doing it, right? Because you can get lost in it. So I think that that's actually lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pam, what's going on with you?
Oh my goodness, what's going on with me? Excuse me. Well, I spoke at the Paranormal Society in town, which was absolutely wonderful, and the connection and the engagement was incredible. It was funny because the host who invited me to speak, she got so engaged she forgot to take pictures, which is hilarious, but it was that engaging. I walked out of there just literally buzzing. I was very nervous at first, and because I had my notes, but once I got away from the notes, like walked away from the podium, the stuff just flowed, and I felt when spirit stepped in, which is what I've learned to trust in. So that was really wonderful. Working on the website, but it's going a little slower. And business, as far as clients goes, has slowed down a little bit, which is really interesting. But I think it's the universe that's giving me the space and the time to actually step into these other projects. I have completed, I need to get them published, 3 children's books. One called The Light Within, the other one about nightly conversations, and the other one is Cecil and the Spark of Hope. So, so the Cecil one is characters, bugs. The other one's about people, right? So and dealing with spirit. So having nightly conversations. The Light Within is about healing. So, but they're children's books. So I'm really excited about that. Then from autopilot to awareness, a sacred space for self-awareness and growth is a book that I'm writing. There's 70 pages now. I've been speaking with a woman about publishing it. So I'm looking forward to the new year and getting these books out and published and in stores. I've done a book through Amazon, which is wonderful. And unless you're promoting it on a regular basis, it's one of those things that just kind of sits there. And I know in time there will be the value for that as well. But I want to get these things in bookstores. The how to move from the autopilot to awareness is very much around communication and how we're interacting with people. So, and it's very much my style where it's simple and to the point. So it's what it looks like, what it feels like, both in the unhealthy and the healthy way. When you're in the unhealthy, steps that you can take to start to step into the healthy way. And I'm really excited about that because I've had a couple people read up to 50 pages and they're going, oh my God, we could all be using this. So I'm really excited about that. And then I'm also know that I'm in the process with the website, also looking at my re-meets for April and so I've got that to be working on as well. Whether I'm going to do it by myself, whether I'm going to bring some people in, that is yet to be decided, but I have a feeling with the conversations that I'm having with people that I can see that that's going to unfold quite nicely. I'm happy to say that I'll have a travel agent that I can actually book it through. I've been in contact with her because when we are doing anything in the way of travel in Canada or in Ontario, we have to have a travel agent. We should have a license if we're actually booking any accommodations or booking any flights and stuff like that. So having a travel agent to refer that to is going to be really magical.
Ooh,
So
fabulous.
lots going on. And then dealing with family. My sister-in-law, God bless her. She's been through so much cancer a couple of times, and she just was rushed to the hospital with an aneurysm, and she only went to the doctor for a normal physical because she was getting on a plane and had some headaches and discovered.
Wow.
So fortunately, she's still here, and fortunately they're doing treatment. I think eventually it was going to lead to like a shunt. But at this particular point, it's, you know, it's still touch and go in the sense of it's a sensitive thing when your brain is being impacted with pressure, right? But all of these things are beautiful. I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving. I was dealing with some family, issues as well. And I guess the reason I'm sharing all of this is because for those of you who are watching, there is magic even when there is the chaos and when there's some uncomfortable things going on. What we choose to focus on is really, really important. And right now, I'm just allowing things to unfold. I'm not pushing it. And I think that I've learned not to. So there's a part of me, because I'm paying for someone to do work with me, that I'm feeling, and I actually went through some imposter syndrome, a full meltdown of emotions with my partner, talking about money and the money that I'm having to invest in myself with the website, with a publisher. I'm stepping really out of my comfort zone, and my partner is very pragmatic when it comes to money. And he didn't question when I was saying, I've got to put out this kind of money here, there, and everywhere. He goes, it's going to come back, Pam. Like, you have to invest in yourself. That old saying, you've got to spend money to make money, is very, very true. But it was very interesting that in this process, the emotions that came up for me, and how I still have a shadow of doubt there, which is, I've come a long way, but it's still there and I'm still working through it. And so sharing that, also the transparency, because we all have this and we are a work in progress our entire life. And I actually love that. Right? As uncomfortable as it is, I absolutely love that this is what life is all about. It's not about the stuff. It's not about what we're acquiring. Everything that we're acquiring is helping us to be more in our authentic self. It's a real, again, awareness, and it's a twist, on many people's, including my own, thought process. So it's been incredible.
Lots of unfolding.
So exciting. I can't wait to get a hold of your books. My gosh. Gotta keep us up to date, especially those kids' books too. That sounds like a much needed story for kids. And I loved how you talked about the joy, finding joy and feeling that joy. That seems to be the word lately, joy, the intention of joy. And you also talked about the fluidity, like being fluid and not forcing anything, just allowing it. And that was another beautiful message. Like last night, this week I had some free sessions for people to come in and learn more about channeling and what it's all about. And so we would do, some channeling together. And what I did some channeling for the group. And that message came through last night very loud and clear about stop trying to make plans. Keep your plans held loosely. Everything is very malleable right now and shifting and moving and every day, right? So that beautiful message came through. So I'm trying to hold that energy. And then it's very much about, find the joy in the day, in every day. And I know we've heard that to death, right? But it really is important right now because we are moving from that 3D realm into 5D. We are moving into a more effervescent life rather than the stuff, like you said, right? It's not about the stuff, but it is about what the stuff brings in for the feeling for you. So enjoy that and Yeah, that message was beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, Pam, and because it really just lined up with what I was getting last night too. Um, and for me, it's been very much, yeah. Oh, that imposter syndrome has come up for me too, Pam. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like just very up and down energies. And I think because there's times when I'm trying to control and force, and then times when I lean back and surrender into, okay, let's just go with the flow here. But at the same time, let's keep a vision of where we're going. So a direction of where we're going, but hold it loosely. And I said that to a client the other day with her business. I said just and she does a lot of, energy work with people on a table. And I said, put your business on the table and work with the energy of your business. And you know how you put your hands very lightly on your clients, like hold your business lightly, hold it lightly and allow it to take on a life and an energy of its own and expand and grow instead of us going, no, but you got to fit in this hole here. It's got to be this. So it's been like beautiful learnings coming forth for
Yeah.
me too. And
And it's making
so, oh,
it's yeah, it's making a whole lot of sense in terms of what you're saying, Janice, because we're working with the Libran energy, and Libra's element energy is air, and air needs to be circulating. It needs to be flowing around us, and it is about a lot more about our the connection to the kind of the higher level chakras as well as our thoughts and thought patterns. And if we follow it as in air also being the breath, which Alana was talking about earlier on as well, we breathe naturally. Our body automatically knows how to breathe. And part of what the energy that has been so prevalent for me at the moment is about allowing things to just breathe. I had a meeting yesterday with a client, and I'd done a lot of preparation, and yesterday morning there was a new shift and a new energy that had come in. And I re-looked at the agenda, and I'd kind of got all my things down in terms of what I wanted to do. And I just heard this voice, can you now go and do something else? The meeting is in 3 hours time. Just let it breathe.
mhm.
And that's something that's been very prevalent for me, is around just stepping back and allowing our breath work to do the work that it does. And also coming back to the whole question of the imposter, excuse me, the thing around the imposter is that I don't know that it ever goes away, ever, completely. What I do know for sure is that with the coping mechanisms, the skills that we develop, the awareness that we develop, allows us to recognize it so much earlier. And also it becomes the gatekeeper of, we're going into something new, we're growing into something new. So seeing it as the guardian instead of, going back into that, I'm an imposter, and our breath sitting right here in our throats as opposed to being in our stomachs. And so I'm learning to work with the energy of the imposter as the guardian of the gateway that I'm growing into a new phase of growth and learning. And that again is allowing that learning to flow instead of I've got to mentally analyze it and make sense of it and do all of those kinds of things that are all the controlling energies that we've been programmed to show up in the world at. Instead, it's about an energy of stepping back and just allow. And it's hard because it's kind of like I want to do stuff, but what I've also learned in this period of the 3 weeks was that resting and self-care and not actually doing any so-called work itself is also a form of work. It's allowing our somatic bodies to realign with all of the energetic shifts that we're going through on a level of consciousness and otherwise. And so it's been very enlightening in terms of stepping back and just allowing as opposed to trying to control. So I actually resonate so much, Janice, with in fact, with what each one of you have said around the way that the energies are shifting and moving. And then when we get to the end of October, we're moving into the Scorpio energy, which is an energy of water. And so we're going to be dealing with emotional energy as opposed to the thought planes and the breath work. So
Boy, thanks for the heads up on that one.
One of the things too, speaking to what you're talking about also, Angela, is one of the awarenesses that I came to is just by having the experience that I did when I was public speaking and how I walked away feeling like I was buzzing, right? That's the only way I can describe it. I had no aches, no pains, right? And I recognize that when I'm thinking that I need to be doing or pushing myself, or the body is responding in pain. And that was an awareness. I was like, holy heck, when I'm just in the pure joy of what I'm doing, I don't have the same physical reactions or symptoms. It was just incredible to see that, and not only see it, awareness, right, but feel it. So
I found that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I think just having that awareness is going to help me moving forward. If my body's responding in a painful, stiff kind of way, all right, am I trying to do too much? Right?
Really control.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the control element, there's two things around the finances. So scarcity started to kick in, right? And controlling that money is that going to have a physical response to that. So it's like, the world is a magical place if we just really pay attention.
It's funny because like at the retreat this weekend, one of the things that came up again was this control that we think we have control of all the things, but we tend to get too attached to the control, which is like the ego, because it's trying to keep us safe.
Yes.
You know, it keeps us in the comfort zone. It keeps us in this space that's like, again, we're not in flow. We're in this stiff movement space. So one of the things we talked about was like literally, you know, sometimes we feel like, well, put you in the back seat. Like you need to get in the back seat because my spirit, my soul needs to drive here. My inspiration, I need to go in that direction and in flow and it feels good. So we try to push it in the back. But what we talked about this weekend is putting it in the driver's or in the passenger seat. Because it is there. There is a reason for it where it's meant to help us keep us safe. But it's like, I'm going to listen to you as part of, like, to help me as a navigator, to help me. I'll pay attention to your cues, like you said about the body, when I'm taking control and the body showing me the cues. So I'm going to pay attention to you. I'm not going to shove you in the back seat because it feels like you're kind of like putting it in like a kid in the back seat. You want it to be alongside with you. But we want to still lead from a space of love and joy and energy and spirit and flow. And that's what's in the driver's seat. We should allow that in the driver's seat, but we don't want to get rid of the ego completely. Sometimes we feel like it's bad. It's like, nope, you're bad. You're going to the back seat. You're going on the child seat in the back. But yeah, like have it in the passenger seat as part of your journey.
Yeah. One of the things that we've been talking about this week, which is very much in line with all of this because of the imposter syndrome or the forcing and trying, and is that when you're holding a big vision for your business, there's a gap between the vision and the manifestation, and we can get really caught up in that. What's going on? Why isn't it here yet? And begin to feel that impatience or that frustration or what's wrong with me, and then we question that's where the imposter syndrome comes in. And it really is a moment, it's part of the manifestation process. It's part of like the void, right? The dark of growing. That's where our gifts and strengths and everything grow, right in that darkness. But it can be really hard to be there and stay true to yourself, like stay on the path. So we talked a lot about, well, what would nourish you today? And we kind of connected that with gratitude in the teepee, because in the teepee we were talking about being grateful for all this summer. But what I found was even more powerful energy was talking about, well, what has nourished you, sorry, not nurtured, nourished you over the last few months, and what nourishes you right now, and what's no longer nourishing you. And that whole then, okay, let's pause and just sink back into, like, maybe I just need a nap and a snack to regroup, right? But coming back to, well, what would nourish me today that would allow me to get back on my like vision and excitement of expansion without the forcing and the pushing and the other thing too, what we did and what I was really expanding into was wanting to have a more expanded vision. So it's like we see what's on the radar screen, right? And we don't know what's going on outside of that. And we have to trust and believe and have faith that it's all coming and soon we'll see it in the physical. But if you can, instead of like when you look up at the stars at night and you see the stars, and it's like this beautiful picture above, doesn't move, it's right there. But if you can go beyond and see it more three-dimensional, or not three-dimensional, more like a hologram. It's like the depth of the universe rather than just this picture of stars. It's like go deep, go in and feel it. Instead of a picture, it's a hologram and you can move into it. And then you begin to be, this is like very the mystic part of me, right? Then you can begin to feel into that energy and know what's coming and know what's blocking and know what's, interfering and be able to do some beautiful magic from that place. So, well, yeah, that's what's been happening here.
We did a version of that because like in the sacred shift, that's one of the things is about the limitlessness. And we did I hosted a visualization that literally we went out to that vastness. And it was really interesting because we did that and then we did breath work afterwards. And like, man, oh man, some of them were like the response, the feedback from it, whew, it was powerful. Like you said, of going to that space of all creation that's out there and there's the potential that's out there. And if we just tap into some of that energy,
Mm-hmm.
man, oh man,
Well,
powerful.
what you made me think about at this particular point is doing the dance with the universe, doing the dance with everything around us. And the same as if you were dancing with a partner, if you're pushing or if you're resisting or you're going against, right? It's the steps are not going to look real pretty.
Mm-mm.
But if you just go with the flow and follow and feel into it as far as the dance goes, makes everything beautiful. Like that's where automatically I went to when you were talking, Janice, about the vastness and the depth. And I'm finding more and more people, even when it comes to conversation, don't want to do superficial.
Mm-hmm.
More and more people are looking for that vastness and that depth. And it's very interesting because I'm seeing a lot of men really struggle right now. It's the men that I think are being impacted even more so than the women. A lot of the women that they're with are holding space and are growing and are stepping into their own, but the men are feeling lost.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is that divine feminine that is helping the men to rise. And I was speaking with a young woman this morning, and she is speaking her truth. She's not running from the relationship. She's accepting he's not where she's at, but she knows that she now has to do things to fill her own cup until he decides either to come along or to step aside. And it's really beautiful to see. Really beautiful. So for those of you that are watching, if your men are going through some things, hold space, love yourself, fill your cup, do what makes you happy, and allow him to come along.
Without forcing.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny because as we're going through this journey, we feel like we see somebody, whether it's a partner, a family member, a friend, and they're like, oh, I want to share this feeling, this joy, this amazingness, this understanding with other people. And then so we try to, like you said, control, we try to bring them in. And it's like, if they're not ready, but they got to, and they, like you said, the men are feeling the gap because there's a lot of women that are stepping into their truth. They're moving towards and letting go of the traditional, I need to be told what I need to do, the patriarchy, right? So we're stepping into that feminine energy and into their own um, sovereignty. And so it's like there's the gap that's happening between both of those, right? And that's where the men are gonna feel it for sure.
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
another interesting aspect to add on to what you're saying, Alana, that's been surfacing for me as well, and that's a much broadened definition of the field of stewardship. And part of that is us stewarding our own energies in the sense of holding space. And the fact that we're claiming more agency and stewarding that agency in a way that is in alignment. And this is the kind of energy that I'm starting to not only, well, not starting, but I'm experiencing it myself, but I'm also starting to see happening for other people, and both women and particularly women. And again, it goes back to the creator energy, starting with the feminine energy. That is her role, to create the space for nourishment, for the masculine to step into his space and to own his space. So it's not the either or, it's not a gender thing either.
No.
It's an energetic frequency. And when we look at creation, creation is birthed through the feminine. A lot of what's going on at the moment is that the wounds that are being held in the sacral chakra are being surfaced for people to heal. And because they don't have a frame of reference to place it in, it feels like completely discordant. It feels like they're completely off balance, off center, because there's no container to hold the space while that healing's actually going on. And that's as predominant for women as it is for men. And so part of the work that we all engage in and are involved in is creating that sense of the container in which others can step into their own agency and be nourished in that in order to steward it. And that's been a very interesting energy for me in terms of how stewardship just broadens itself. So not only stewarding financial resources or our homes or our motor vehicles or our possessions, it's a much wider definition. And it's about stewarding our own energies and how do we hold that and hold that space. And coming back to what you were saying, Janice, just now about nourishment, that's a huge part of stewarding.
I love
So yeah,
that
it's been
word
very
stewardship because it came into my world in September when we were at our retreat in the mountains, and the young couple that own this beautiful log home in this space call themselves stewards of the land, not owners of the land. And I had also been in my mind thinking, I'm a good steward of my money, like because I've had a lot of like shame around money, having gone through bankruptcy and, worked through that. And now it's like whenever I feel a judgment come up, I go, no, I'm a good steward of my money. I know what I'm doing. So thank you for saying that, Angela. Sorry, go ahead. Keep talking. You were carrying on.
Yeah, no, it's just been a really interesting. Again, these are the things that get revealed when we slow ourselves down in order to receive the information that Spirit is bringing through into the world, and then it moves into the how do we then steward that. And it's also not about taking responsibility for other people and for the work that they should be doing for themselves either, because that's not stewarding at all. And so we steward our own integrity, we steward our values and what we stand for. And that is, it's just how do I hold that grace and serve from that space? And that for me is what stewardship is coming to mean. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just been, again, really interesting. And I think for me, if I can say anything to those who are watching, is that when you feel things are slowing down, I mean, the universe slowed me down without question completely. I mean, I was able to still do things on ChatGPT, but in terms of production, in terms of doing anything, I was completely slowed down to allow the downloads to come through and to integrate and ground, and that they don't just sit up here and we do nothing with them, or we're living in la la land up here because it's actually a happy place to be without grounding it into the earth, because that's how we serve. We serve through the grounding of what we're receiving from a consciousness perspective and consciousness point of view. I mean, each one of us, if you look at the work that we're doing, that's how we're serving. And it's being a steward of what we're being asked to take out into the world as well. So it's not just about money. And that's how I originally thought it was, oh, how do I steward my money and all the rest of that stuff. Came short of after COVID, came short of not declaring bankruptcy, but yeah, mountains of debt that I'm still working through. And even there, how do I steward the commitments that I have to repay what was loaned to me by whomever is on the list that I need to be paying? And even there, changing the language. It's not about debt, it's a commitment that I have to resources that were made available to me, albeit that it at an interest rate and kind of future, investing or not investing, but dating against the future. It's getting away from that language and going into, this is the commitment that I honor what has been stewarded through me in order to make sure that it actually happens. So it's been quite a big shift for me.
One of
So
the
hopefully
shifts
that's
I made there too is around like you said, it's like it's also about like the universe is holding space for me, source, whatever, and that resource, right? So that's one of the things that I shifted for myself was like, oh, it's like somebody's offering me that space to be able to continue to grow in that, right? Instead of it being like a debt.
Yep.
Mhm.
But it is a
Yep.
commitment.
Well, and stewardship feels more like you said, filled with grace, more gentle, non-judgmental, just more loving, more encompassing, more caring. Yeah.
I love the word that you used earlier today, and that word kind of encompasses a softer definition of stewardship for me, and that is about nourishment.
Hmm.
And I love the way that those two words kind of they connect. It's the stewardship in the feminine energy is how we nourish ourselves and are nourished. It's also linking back, we've spoken about this a few times, around receiving and being willing to receive. So yeah, fascinating stuff. Love it.
Nice. Oh, what a beautiful energy here.
Pam,
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah, just taking it all in. Stewardship is not a word that I've heard very often, to be quite honest. So, I can take it in and learn from what you guys are sharing as well. This is the beauty of a circle like this, right? I don't have all the answers in any capacity. So, you're bringing something to my awareness, something for me to explore, right? So, for those of you that are out there watching, we can be stumped, we can be quiet, just take it in.
Hmm. Well,
And
as
not
the
only take it in, no, sorry, Pamela, sorry, Janice, not only take it in, receive it. That's the difference. Is we're receiving this from the wisdom that comes from each one of us in any engagement that we're in. When we step
Absolutely.
aside from the need to be right, or I'm right, you're wrong, and stepping aside and going, oh, I wonder what truth is, what kernel of truth is being shared in terms of what somebody else's perspective is.
Well, and it's okay for the quietness is for me to be able to receive. Like there is no right or wrong, and I truly believe that. So it's like, all right, things that I can explore. So let's be present in it and sit with it. And this is another thing. It's like we don't have to always be doing something. We don't always have to have a rebuttal or something to say back. And the quietness, yeah, it's okay. I'm pondering. I'm curious. Like,
yeah.
It's integration of that in
absolutely.
receivership.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm giggling at what you're saying because this week for me, the ego voice sitting on the side of my shoulder is kind of going, you've had a really bad week, you haven't been very productive at all. And then that voice is going, what's been happening is that a download's been coming through. And then most afternoons this week, I've slept. I've gone and I've had a sleep because my body is needing to integrate the energies that are coming through. Exactly what you're speaking to, Pam.
Yeah.
And it's about this beautiful ebb and flow, like the waves in the ocean, of receiving and doing and receiving and doing and allowing ourselves to settle into the new energies on every level, as opposed to this hell-bent action orientated, have to get everything done, with these long to-do lists today. It's not,
Yes.
and it's quite an adjustment.
Mm. You love that connection to nature with the ebbs and flows. And I feel that that has just been growing and growing in people, is that need to be in nature. And like, think back to even 5 years ago. Well, maybe a little longer, because COVID really catapulted it, right? People wanted to be outside in nature. But prior to that, there wasn't a lot of discussion about, if, being in nature, spending time in nature, and now it's quite a prevalent rise, and I'm so excited and grateful for that, because
Yeah.
that just brings us back to our heart, to our center. I always say, like, when we go into the mountains, it like slows you down to the heartbeat of the earth. And when you go on vacation, like, think about it, even as when we were younger, we'd go camping and we'd be, oh, this is so relaxing. And then a few days later, oh, I'm even more relaxed. Like a week, 2 weeks go by and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so relaxed. So it's like, give yourself that time and space in nature to come back to that center. And wouldn't we all be in such a better place? Mm.
Oh, absolutely. Living in the area that I do in Georgiana Township, it's absolutely lovely. Lovely. Lake Simcoe is amazing.
Mhm.
Talking to people from Toronto who are in the concrete jungle, like, they're struggling so much. And it's not even just with themselves, it's the fact that they're in these and amongst these buildings that are storing all of this chaotic energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And the truest essence or being of our being, we're not meant to be in concrete jungles in the way that are being developed. And more people are finding that they're called to get out into nature. Some of them, the only way that they're actually functioning in their work now is by getting the time away, getting into nature, going someplace where they're not in all of that chaos. And it's an energetic chaos, right?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, everything is stored in those buildings. So it's people are being pushed towards, right? The universe is giving those nudges.
Along with the emotional energy that's stored in there, right? Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That we
And
need to be
also,
looking at ways to cleanse those buildings more plants, more water, more, floor directions, more, all of that needs to come into the buildings to cleanse them. Oh,
Yeah, even the saging, which most buildings won't allow. Like, if
right.
you're in a business, right? But that saging can make such a difference as well.
Yeah. Essential oils too work.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
And also coming back to what you were saying, Janice, about being in nature and the heart, the opening of the heart to nature, also the grounding into the earth through the lower chakras, because we are still, in as much as we love to be in these beautiful spaces all the time, we still are living in a world that has reality that needs to be dealt with on a daily basis. And part of that energy of being out in nature is grounding into her earth and into the core of who she is, because then she re-energizes us, and then we move upward again. And the energy starts to transmit itself upward and through our heart again. So the heart being the crossover between upper and lower in both directions, the descending into the earth and the ascending from the earth. And so, yeah.
I have
I
that
happen to be,
in a painting.
yeah.
Sorry. I have that
I
in
was,
a painting of heart to heart to heart. So my heart connected with the heart of the universe and the heart of Mother Earth, all in alignment, and that flow, and that when we do ground into Mother Earth, we feel the rise. We feel the strength and the nourishment to rise
yep,
and open more to
yep.
the heart of the universe.
Oh, that's
I
beautiful.
can't
You'll
wait
have to
to,
share that
yeah,
picture.
yeah. Yep. I can't wait to wake up tomorrow morning where I am, the part of the country in South Africa that I'm on, because there's these beautiful mountains in front of me. I'll take a picture for you guys.
Ooh, yay!
Yes.
Mhm.
Shots of the mountain face. And it's just this beautiful golden light in, yeah, just that's the view that I'm going to be looking at tomorrow morning. Can't wait.
Do
Yay.
share, share, share.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
will. I shall.
Yes. And
Okay.
everyone watching this, share, share, share.
Yeah, that's
Because
so
Yeah.
perfect. If you have an aha moment, a takeaway, something that you heard that just spoke to your heart or felt aligned or was truth for you, please feel free to share and share it with others. Feel free to share the link to invite others to maybe if they can have an aha moment to take away a truth for them.
And if you have any questions, go to our YouTube page and leave the question there. We would be happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Yes,
Sure.
comment below, let us know. So I think this is a perfect time to wrap us up with a thank you for everyone for joining us here as the circle closes for now. The light remains, not just here, but within you. Let these teachings, the things that we've shared, our own aha moments, through your being like a lighthouse calls over a sea, steady, unwavering, and sovereign. Share what touched your soul, as we already mentioned. Subscribe if you feel the call. Feel free to reach out and send it to someone else if you feel like they might need it as well. And always remember that you are the light, you are the way, and the circle will be here when you return. Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Wonderful to be with you again. Yay.